One of the things that I get asked a lot is, how do you succeed? I do a lot of work in the Middle East. I go out to Dubai and Qatar. I've been working there for many years. People will talk about how can women be successful in business? How do you work as a woman? How do you promote yourself as a woman that's successful in business? My second job was air traffic control. I was an air traffic control assistant at the age of 17. I was the youngest air traffic control assistant in the UK, and I had to have my parents' written permission to do night shift. One of my jobs was to go out onto the runway with the van after the snowplow had cleared the runway at Glasgow Airport. Now remember, I'm 17. And then radio into the tower to say, yes, that's the runway clear, before a plane could land. When I went to study for that job, I went to Herne College, which was down in the south of England. There was 3 women and 600 guys. Then later on in my career, I was working with Xerox out in the Middle East. And at that time, 1982, I was in Abu Dhabi. And the only single women that were out there at that time were nurses and teachers who were brought over in contracts. And I was out there selling. And I remember going into some of the military outposts out in the desert that I used to go into, and I was actually signed in as Mr. Fiona Campbell, because there was no documentation that could sign me in as a woman. But I never considered myself a woman. I just considered myself a person. So sometimes when people say, how do you manage as a woman in business? I just say, I am no different. I'm doing my job as a person. I don't actually differentiate. And sometimes when you do that, when you actually say, what I'm doing the best that I can do with the skills and knowledge that I have, and understand that no matter how confident other people seem to be, the majority of people are going through their doubts as well. But it's only when you start to voice them. The number of people I hear saying, oh, I've got imposter syndrome for that, I've got imposter syndrome for the next thing, and it's self-labeled. Now, remember what I said at the beginning, this is for education purposes only. If you have been diagnosed by a medical profession, then this is a different thing altogether. But what we're looking at is the people who self-diagnose. You're coaching clients that come and tell you, oh, I've got imposter syndrome. The first thing I say is, who's diagnosed you with this? Well, I tell myself that I know. How do you know that? I'm no good at this, I'm no good at that.